Every person carries a certain kind of strength, whether they realize it or not. Sometimes that strength looks like knowledge, sometimes it appears as money, and sometimes it exists simply as kindness. We often believe that strength is something meant only for ourselves, to protect, to advance, to survive. But what if the real purpose of our strength is to lift someone else who cannot stand on their own today? Life has a funny way of giving us what someone else needs, and giving someone else what we need. When we understand that, we start seeing our role in a much larger picture. Helping others isn't something dramatic like saving lives every day or donating massive amounts of wealth. Sometimes help is something incredibly small, a moment of listening, a smile, or a short message that says, "I'm here." These tiny gestures may look insignificant to us, but for someone who is struggling, they can be the difference between giving up or choosing to stay strong one more day. Our strength is measured not by how much we receive from the world, but by how much we are willing to give, even when no one is watching. There is a quiet lesson hidden in every act of kindness. We learn that the world doesn't revolve around us alone. Our problems feel smaller when we focus on someone else's pain. Our worries feel lighter when we decide to carry a piece of someone else's burden. Ironically, when we help another person, the first person who feels comfort and purpose is actually ourselves. Helping others heals us in ways we can't fully understand until we try. When you wake up every morning, life offers a simple question: who can you help today? It might be a family member, a friend, a stranger, or even your past self through the encouragement you wish someone once gave you. We don't need a reason to help. We only need willingness. Because at the end of the day, our true strength isn't defined by how high we climb, but by how many hands we reach out to while we're climbing. And maybe helping someone else is not just a responsibility, it's the very purpose of why we are here. Sometimes we underestimate how valuable we actually are to the world. We think, I'm not rich, or I'm not influential, so what difference could I possibly make? But the truth is, every person carries something unique that somebody else desperately needs: patience, comfort, advice, humor, or simply presence. You don't need to change the entire world. You just need to change one moment in someone's life. And often, that is already enough to create a ripple far greater than you imagine. The world is full of silent battles, people smiling on the outside while falling apart inside. They want to always ask for help because they're afraid of being judged or becoming a burden. That's why it's powerful when help comes without being requested, when kindness appears without being negotiated. A single gesture can remind someone that humanity still exists, that kindness hasn't disappeared, and that life is still worth holding on to even when everything feels heavy. When we choose to help, we become part of something bigger than ourselves. We become a small light in someone's darkness, a quiet reminder that they are not alone. And those small lights, when spread from one person to another, can illuminate places we never get to see. This world doesn't only need scientists, leaders, and heroes. It also needs ordinary people doing extraordinary kindness, one moment at a time. Helping others isn't about showing how good you are, it's about showing how good humanity can be. It is our contribution to a world that sometimes forgets compassion. Maybe your words today become someone's strength tomorrow. Maybe your support becomes the reason someone chooses to keep trying. So don't ever think your kindness is too small. Somewhere out there, it might be exactly what someone has been praying for. Growth doesn't only come from achieving personal goals or overcoming our own struggles. Sometimes growth happens when we stay beside someone else as they face theirs. Helping others teaches patience, empathy, and humility, qualities that cannot be learned just by reading or thinking. Every time we support someone, we learn something about ourselves, what we're capable of, what matters most, and how deeply connected human beings truly are. There will be moments when helping feels tiring, especially when people don't seem to appreciate our efforts. But that is where the true lesson lies. We don't help for applause, we don't help to be praised. We help because it shapes us into better human beings. The kindness we give might not always return from the same person, but life has its own mysterious way of returning goodness to us, often when we need it the most. Every person you help becomes a part of your journey. Their stories, their gratitude, and even their silence help you grow into someone who understands life more deeply. You begin to see beyond your own problems, recognizing how much pain exists around you. And in that awareness, you discover inner strength you never knew you had, the strength to care even when the world tells you to focus only on yourself. Helping others does something powerful to the heart. It opens doors that once felt locked. It teaches us to love without expecting anything in return and to give without counting. Over time, we don't just help because it's the right thing to do. We help because it becomes a natural part of who we are. And when that happens, we realize that the greatest growth doesn't happen alone. It happens through connection, compassion, and kindness. Not every act of kindness receives recognition, and that's exactly what makes it powerful. When we do good things quietly without posting, without expecting praise, we learn that true kindness lives in sincerity, not visibility. The most beautiful help is the kind that no one sees except the person who needed it. There's something deeply meaningful about doing good simply because it feels right, not because someone is watching. Sometimes the reward of helping others doesn't come immediately. In fact, it may take years before life returns that kindness to us. But if you look closely, you'll notice something else happening in the meantime. You feel lighter. You feel more peaceful. You sleep better knowing that you tried to make someone's day easier. That inner peace is the silent reward, the kind that money, status, or recognition can never replace. There will be people who take your kindness for granted, but that should never stop you from being kind. Their lack of appreciation doesn't erase the goodness of your intention. We don't plant seeds and demand fruit the next day. We plant because we believe in growth. The same is true with kindness. It may not bloom immediately, but someday, somewhere, it will grow into something meaningful for someone. And in the end, helping others becomes less about obligation and more about who you choose to be. The world can be harsh, selfish, and unfair, but your kindness is proof that humanity isn't lost. Every time you choose compassion, you choose to make this world a little softer. And even if no one claps for you, remember this. The world becomes better every time you do something good, no matter how small it is. Every life on this planet is linked in ways we rarely notice. A simple act of kindness in one moment can influence someone's thoughts, decisions, and even their future. We don't live in isolation, even when we feel alone. The words we speak, the actions we choose, and the support we give all flow into the world like invisible threads connecting us to one another. Helping someone today might inspire them to help someone else tomorrow, continuing a chain of kindness far beyond what we can see. We often forget that the person standing next to us may be carrying the same fears, doubts, and pain we silently battle ourselves. And that realization should soften our hearts, because at the end of the day, we're not that different. We hurt in similar ways, we dream in similar ways, and we all need help at some point in our lives. Offering help doesn't make us superior. It simply reminds us that we share the same human experience. Think about the times when someone helped you, even in the smallest way. Maybe it was a teacher who believed in you, a friend who listened, or a stranger who smiled when your day felt heavy. Those moments stayed with you, even if you never said thank you. Now imagine being that person for someone else. Imagine being the reason someone remembers kindness instead of cruelty, hope instead of despair. We are connected not just by relationships, but by compassion. When we choose to help others, we not just changing their day, we changing the way human hearts respond to the world. Each time kindness is given, humanity becomes a little stronger, a little softer, and a little more hopeful. And maybe that's what life has been trying to teach us all along. We rise by lifting others, because none of us were meant to walk through this world alone. When we choose to help someone, we are not just giving, we are becoming. We are shaping our character into something wiser, gentler, and more meaningful. Every act of kindness leaves a mark inside us, teaching us patience, generosity, and gratitude. Even when we think we're doing it only for others, the truth is, we are also healing a part of ourselves. Helping someone else reminds us that life is bigger than our personal struggles, and sometimes that perspective is exactly what our hearts need. There will come a moment in life when we are the ones who desperately need help. And in that moment, the kindness we once gave returns in unexpected ways. Not always from the same person, but from life itself. The goodness we spread doesn't disappear, it travels, grows, and eventually finds its way back to us. That is how kindness works. It moves in circles, not in straight lines. One day, someone might stand stronger because of the support you gave. Someone might choose hope because you showed them compassion. And someone might keep fighting because you reminded them that they are not alone. You may never know the full impact of your kindness, but impact doesn't need recognition to exist. What matters is that you tried, you cared, and you gave a piece of yourself to make someone else's burden lighter. So remember this, helping others is not just a duty, it's a calling. It's a chance to bring light into places we may never see. And maybe the greatest purpose of being human is not about what we accomplish for ourselves, but what we contribute to the lives of others. When we help others grow, we grow. When we help others heal, we heal. And when we choose kindness, we choose to live a life that truly matters. Every act of kindness has a life of its own. Even after we forget what we did, someone somewhere still remembers how it made them feel. The world is shaped not only by great inventions or big achievements, but also by small moments of humanity that remain in people's hearts. Long after we're gone, the kindness we give may continue living in someone else's actions, influencing choices, shaping thoughts, and inspiring compassion in people we may never meet. Life moves fast, and sometimes we underestimate how deeply we touch others. A single encouraging sentence might become someone's motivation years from now. A moment of support might help someone survive a difficult chapter. And even if they never say it, even if they never mention your name, your kindness becomes part of their strength. That is the beauty of giving. It doesn't end when the moment ends. Helping others is a way of planting seeds in a future we will not live to see. We may never witness the results, but results are never the point. What matters is that we contribute something positive to a world that often forgets gentleness. Every time we choose kindness, we protect humanity from becoming colder. We prove that compassion still exists and that goodness still has a place in this world. So never believe your kindness disappears. It travels, it grows, and sometimes it returns to you in moments you least expect. But most importantly, it becomes a legacy, one that doesn't need your name attached to it. The impact of kindness doesn't require recognition, it only needs sincerity. And when kindness lives beyond us, that is when we have truly made a difference. Every time we choose to help someone, there is always a purpose behind it, even if we don't notice it at first. Sometimes the purpose is to remind us how fortunate we are. Sometimes it's to teach us patience. Other times, it's simply life's way of showing us what truly matters. Helping others pulls us out of our own problems and reminds us that the world is bigger than our worries. It gives us a sense of meaning that achievements alone can never provide. There are moments when life feels empty, even when we have everything we thought we wanted. That emptiness often comes from living only for ourselves. But the moment we reach out to help someone else, something shifts inside us. We start to understand that fulfillment doesn't come from receiving, it comes from giving. Our hearts are designed not just to hold love, but to share it. That is where true purpose begins. Sometimes helping others means sacrificing time, energy, or comfort. It might feel inconvenient or tiring, but every sacrifice carries a beautiful truth. We are capable of loving beyond ourselves. We are capable of caring even when no reward is promised. That is where human greatness is found. Not in success, not in wealth, but in kindness that asks for nothing in return. And when we look back someday, the moments that matter most won't be the times we benefited ourselves, but the times we made someone's life easier. The times we lifted someone when they were falling. The times we chose compassion instead of judgment. That is the purpose behind every help we give, to prove that this world, with all its chaos and pain, still has space for kindness, and that we are responsible for keeping that kindness alive. The world is constantly changing, but not always in the direction we hope. There is conflict, division, and selfishness everywhere we look. Yet every act of kindness pushes the world a little closer to what it could be, a place where compassion is stronger than judgment, and understanding is louder than hate. When we choose to help others, we're not just doing something good. We're building a world we want our children to inherit. We might think our contribution is too small to matter, but history was never shaped only by great leaders. It was shaped by ordinary people who chose compassion in everyday moments. A society becomes kinder when individuals choose kindness, and it becomes more caring when people refuse to ignore the suffering around them. Helping others might feel like a personal act, but it always has a global impact, even if we cannot see it directly. Imagine if every person helped just one other human being. Imagine the chain reaction, the ripple effect, the transformation that would follow. People would suffer less silently, communities would grow stronger, and hope would spread in places that once felt forgotten. A kinder world is not something we wait for, it's something we create step by step, heart by heart. And so the question is not whether the world needs help, it absolutely does. The real question is, who will decide to help? Who will be the reason someone believes kindness still exists? If we want a softer, safer, more compassionate world, it begins with what we choose to do today. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. The world becomes what we allow it to be, and helping others is the most powerful way to shape it for the better. At the end of every journey, we all search for meaning. We wonder what our lives will stand for, what memories we will leave behind, and what value our existence truly holds. Some seek meaning in success, others in fame or wealth. But the most meaningful thing we can ever do is to make life easier for someone else. Helping others gives our days a deeper purpose and turns ordinary moments into something extraordinary. When we look back someday, we won't remember every achievement or every possession. But we will remember the moments when someone cried out for help and we answered. We will remember the lives we touched, the hearts we comforted, and the smiles we were able to bring into someone's darkest season. These are the memories that stay with us forever, not because they were grand, but because they were genuine. Helping others also reminds us that we're not just passing through life. We're building something. We're creating a legacy that lives in other people's hearts. Even if no one speaks our name, our kindness becomes part of someone's story, someone who continues living because of the compassion we showed. There is no greater legacy than that. So when your time here is over, what will you be remembered for? Not the things you owned, but the love you gave. Not the successes you collected, but the lives you lifted. In the end, helping others doesn't just make life better, it makes life meaningful. And maybe that is what life has been trying to teach us all along. We were never meant to live only for ourselves. Life becomes truly alive when we start living for others. Caring about others takes courage, because it requires us to step outside the walls we built to protect ourselves. When we decide to help, we open our hearts to someone else's pain, and that can feel uncomfortable. But courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to act despite fear. Every time we choose to care, we show the world that compassion is stronger than hesitation. We prove that kindness is not weakness, but a form of strength rare enough to change lives. Sometimes the hardest part is caring for someone who seems distant or cold. But often, that coldness comes from wounds we cannot see. People who push others away are sometimes the ones who need help the most. And when we choose patience over judgment, we might be the first person to break through walls someone has built for years. That breakthrough can become the beginning of healing they never believed was possible. Caring also means accepting that we cannot fix everything. It means offering what we can, even when we know it may not be enough to solve every problem. But help is not always about solving. It is about standing beside someone so they don't have to face their storms alone. Even if we cannot remove their pain, we can remind them they are not alone in it, and sometimes that alone keeps them moving forward. So let us be brave enough to care, even when it feels inconvenient or emotionally heavy. Because caring is how we remain human in a world that often forgets what humanity means. Kindness is not something we do only when life is easy. It is something we choose especially when life feels hard, because caring in difficult times is what makes kindness powerful and unforgettable. Life has a way of returning everything we give, but not always from the same place we gave it. Sometimes, kindness comes back through different people, different moments, or different blessings we never expected. When we help others sincerely, we create positive energy that follows us quietly, waiting for the right time to come home. And when it finally returns, it often arrives when we need it most. Many people believe they have received kindness by coincidence, but very few realize it might be kindness they once gave without realizing. A comforting word, a helping hand, or a moment of support may circle through the world and eventually reach us again in a form we never imagined. Even in the most difficult moments, life remembers what we once shared. Helping others does not promise reward, nor should we expect one. But it is comforting to know that the world has a silent balance, a natural cycle that protects those who protect others. When we give without asking for anything in return, life gives us something far more powerful: peace of mind, purpose, and the quiet assurance that goodness never disappears. So the next time you give kindness, don't ask when it will return, just trust that it will. Not because you demand it, but because the universe recognizes sincerity. And one day, you will look back and realize that the help you once gave became the foundation of blessings you later received, even if you never saw the connection until now. Sometimes we stop ourselves from helping because we think our actions are too small, but kindness doesn't need to be grand to be meaningful. A small gesture can change a person's entire day, and sometimes even their entire life. The smallest actions, checking on someone, listening, offering a kind word, are often the ones that matter most, because they reach places large actions cannot. The world doesn't need everyone to be a hero. It just needs more people willing to do something instead of nothing. A gentle smile can encourage someone who felt invisible. A simple, "How are you?" can open a door someone thought was permanently closed. These things take only seconds, but the impact can last a lifetime. Small actions are powerful because they are consistent. They can be done every day by anyone, anywhere. We don't need special skills or wealth to help, we only need a heart that chooses compassion. And if every person offers just one small act of kindness each day, imagine how different the world would feel. So never underestimate what you can do. Even when it feels tiny compared to the world's problems, remember this: kindness may not change the whole world at once, but it can change someone's world today, and that alone is worth everything. Kindness is contagious. When someone experiences compassion, they often feel inspired to pass it on. One act of help can spark another and another, creating a chain that reaches far beyond the original moment. We might think we're helping just one person, but in reality, we're influencing many more. Our kindness becomes a quiet invitation for others to choose kindness too. Sometimes people hesitate to help because they don't know where to start. But when they see kindness in action, they learn by example. Your simple act may be the reason someone else decides to do something good. And who knows how far the impact will travel. You may change lives you never even meet simply because you showed someone how kindness looks in action. We often talk about wanting the world to be better, but real change starts with individual choices. Not with speeches, debates, or criticism, but with compassion. Each time you help someone, you prove that improvement is possible, and you encourage others to believe the same. That belief is powerful enough to transform communities, families, and generations. So help freely, and remember, every time you choose kindness, you are teaching others how to be kind too. And when kindness becomes shared, it becomes unstoppable. One person can start a movement simply by caring. And maybe that one person is you. Human beings are not meant to survive alone. We are built to support, protect, and lift one another. Our lives are connected in ways we may never fully understand. When someone falls, it becomes part of our responsibility to help them rise. Not because we are better, but because we are human. Helping others is not simply an act, it is part of who we are meant to be. We may not always feel capable of helping, but even the smallest support matters. The responsibility we carry for one another does not come from obligation, it comes from compassion. When we choose empathy over indifference, we honor our humanity. And when we choose to help, we refuse to let anyone face their battles alone. Some people might say, everyone should take care of themselves. But the truth is, no one becomes strong alone. Every person who stands tall today once needed someone else's strength. We grow not only by what we accomplish, but by what we receive from others. And because of that, we owe kindness to the world that once offered it to us. Helping others reminds us that we belong to something larger than ourselves. We are threads in the same fabric of life. When one thread breaks, the fabric weakens. But when we support each other, the fabric becomes stronger than ever. Our responsibility to help is not forced. It is natural. It is what makes life meaningful and what keeps humanity alive. Helping others is not a one-time act. It is a lifelong journey. There will always be someone who needs support, someone who needs encouragement, someone who needs a reminder that life is still worth living. And as long as we live, we will always have opportunities to give. Kindness does not end when we feel tired. It becomes part of us, guiding how we move through the world. There will be days when we feel too overwhelmed to help, and that's normal. Even helpers need help. But what matters is that we continue choosing compassion, even when it's difficult. Helping others is not about being perfect. It is about being present. Our presence alone can be a lifeline for someone who feels invisible. Over time, helping becomes something we don't think about, it becomes natural. We start noticing people's struggles without needing explanations. We start offering support without waiting to be asked. Helping becomes who we are rather than something we do. And eventually, we realize that every act of kindness helps shape us into someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. So let this journey continue, not just today, but every day moving forward. Because helping others is not a destination, it is a path we walk for the rest of our lives. And the farther we walk, the more we discover that helping others is not only a duty, but a gift one that blesses both the giver and the receiver endlessly.